Melinda,
cue camera.
where's the other one?
Car is full, T. The car is full. Okay, you're missing the good shots.
They're coming out, guys. Melinda, alaikum. No, they're going to the other side of the house. Sure. Yeah. They're dealing with them now.
Chatunga Mugabe has sent a strong message to all Zimbabweans after SA court fines. Chatunga Mugabe has sent a strong message to all Zimbabweans after SA court fines. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dr. Jones, Waina TV. Please subscribe. In a dramatic turn of events, Bellarmine Chatunga Mugabe has issued a public apology to Emmerson Mnangagwa and the people of Zimbabwe after being fined 600,000 by a South African court, declaring that he is returning home determined to rebuild his image and avoid further controversy. Today, I apologize to President ED and all law-abiding Zimbabweans for tarnishing my father's name and the country's reputation. Chatunga said in a statement following the court ruling, I was fined 600,000, which President ED has already paid on my behalf. He warned me not to repeat such behavior. I will return back to Zimbabwe today. The apology comes after a South African court ordered Chatunga to pay fines totaling 600,000 for offences related to pointing an object perceived to be a firearm and violating immigration laws. The court also ordered his deportation to Zimbabwe. Today, I apologize to President ED and all law-abiding Zimbabweans for tarnishing my father's name and the country's reputation. I was fined 600,000, which President ED has already paid on my behalf. He warned me not to repeat such behavior. I will return back to Zimbabwe today. His co-accused Tobias Matonodze was sentenced to 3 years in prison after pleading guilty to attempted murder and related charges connected to a separate shooting incident involving a worker at a Johannesburg residence. Authorities said Chatunga's convictions were unrelated to the attempted murder charge. Chatunga's public expression of remorse is likely to stir debate across Zimbabwe and the wider region, given the Mugabe family's long and controversial political legacy. As the youngest son of the late Robert Mugabe, his actions have often attracted intense public scrutiny, making and marking his apology particularly significant. Observers say they reported the intention by President Mnangagwa, including settling the fine, may be viewed by some as a gesture of state support, while others may question the political optics surrounding the move. No official statement has yet been released from Zimbabwean authorities confirming payment details. For now, Chatunga's words suggest a moment of reckoning whether his apology marks a genuine turning point or merely a temporary retreat from controversy remains to be seen. But as he boards a flight back to Zimbabwe, one thing is clear: a name once anonymously with power now faces the hard task of restoring public trust. President ED paid my fine. Bellarmine Mugabe breaks silence with public apology after 600k penalty. Bellarmine Chatunga Mugabe has posted a public apology on X expressing remorse to Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa and citizens of Zimbabwe over what he described as conduct that damaged his father's name and the country's reputation. In the post, Mugabe stated that he had been fined $600,000 and claimed that President Mnangagwa personally settled the amount on his behalf. He also indicated that he had been warned not to repeat the behavior that led to his legal troubles. Today I apologize to President ED and all law-abiding Zimbabweans for tarnishing my father's name and the country's reputation, the message read. I was fined $600,000 with President ED has already paid on my behalf. He warned me not to repeat such behavior. I will return back to Zimbabwe today. The statement comes as Mugabe is expected to be deported from South Africa following court proceedings linked to firearm-related charges and immigration violations. Authorities had earlier confirmed that deportation processes were underway after legal and financial conditions were met. Mugabe's case has drawn public attention due to the combination of criminal convictions and immigration enforcement, with officials coordinating his removal through Department of Home Affairs and Border Control authorities. Legal experts note that deportation following criminal sentencing typically involves a completion of all penalties, including fines or custodial sentences, before a foreign national is returned to their country of origin. The claims made in Mugabe's post regarding the payment of fines by a sitting head of state have not been independently verified by South African authorities or Zimbabwean officials at the time of publication. Government institutions in both countries have not issued formal comment on the specific assertions. As the situation develops, attention is focused on his expected return to Zimbabwe and whether further clarification will be provided regarding the circumstances of the payment and the deportation process. Officials are expected to confirm final travel arrangements once all administrative procedures are completed. Someone commented and said, "Go back home and be a good boy and an example to the young people of Zimbabwe. Hold your father's legacy. There are many good things a young man like you can still do in Zimbabwe and uplift the livelihood of people of Zimbabwe. Hope you've learned a lesson and will not get yourself in trouble again." Another one commented and said, "Deportation without no jail time." Bellarmine Chatunga Mugabe arrives in Zimbabwe after deportation from South Africa. Bellarmine Chatunga Mugabe has arrived back in Zimbabwe after being deported from South Africa following his conviction in connection with a shooting incident that took place in Johannesburg earlier this year, a case that has attracted significant public and political attention in both countries. Mugabe, the son of the late former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe, was ordered to pay a fine of $600,000 by South African authorities as a part of the legal outcome stemming from the incident. Following the payment of the fine, immigration officials moved swiftly to deport him to Zimbabwe, where his return is already sparking renewed public debate over accountability and the conduct of politically connected individuals abroad. His co-accused, Tobias Matonodze, received a far harsher sentence. The Johannesburg court sentenced Matonodze to 3 years direct imprisonment for his role in the same incident, underscoring the seriousness with which the South African justice system viewed the matter. The shooting, which reportedly occurred earlier this year in Johannesburg, had raised widespread concern after details emerged about the involvement of high-profile figures, while authorities have not publicly disclosed every aspect of the case. Law enforcement agencies treated the matter as a significant criminal proceeding, with prosecutors arguing that the actions of the accused posed a threat to public safety. Mugabe's deportation marks the conclusion of the South African legal process against him, at least in terms of criminal penalties and immigration consequences. His return to Zimbabwe is likely to draw scrutiny from both political observers and the general public, given the continued public interest surrounding the Mugabe family name. Legal analysts say the differing outcomes for the two accused reflect the court's assessment of their respective roles and the evidence presented during proceedings. The financial penalty imposed on Mugabe alongside his removal from the country stands in contrast to Matonodze's custodial sentence, highlighting the distinct legal consequences faced by each individual. The case also places renewed focus on cross-border legal cooperation between South Africa and Zimbabwe, particularly in matters involving prominent figures. For many observers, the swift deportation sends strong signals about South Africa's willingness to enforce into laws regardless of status or background. As Bellarmine Chatunga Mugabe settles back in Zimbabwe, attention is now expected to shift to the domestic reaction and whether his return will carry further legal, political, reputational implications. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dr. Jones, Why Not TV. Please subscribe. Bye for now till we meet again next time. Subscribe.